Today, I want to talk about a game that not a lot of people seem to really care about, and that game is Daemon X Machina. But more specifically, I want to talk about the fact that a new game in this franchise was announced last week. Let's get into it. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is BoTalksGames, and apologies for not making a video on this announcement back when it happened. We talked about it on the podcast that I host, but I didn't make a dedicated video, and I kind of regret that because Daemon X Machina is a game that I think is severely underrated. Like, if I were to make a list of the most underrated Switch games, I think Daemon X Machina would be very close, if not at the top of that list, because I think this game is just very underappreciated. It came out, I think, at a bad time. It was sandwiched in between Astral Chain and Link's Awakening and Dragon Quest XI back in September of 2019, so it kind of released at a bad time, and it didn't get the best reviews. I think it sits at like maybe a 70 on Metacritic, something like that. But Daemon X Machina really hit the right spot for me. It was a game I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did, not anywhere near as much as I enjoyed it. I probably put about, I think I exaggerated a little bit on the podcast. I think I said 70 hours. I think it's more like 55 to 60, which is still a lot of time to put into any game, I mean. And there was still plenty of stuff I could have done. If you don't know, Daemon X Machina is Armored Core, essentially, at least as far as I'm aware. I've never played Armored Core, which is why I'm excited for Armored Core 6 coming out in August. But it's a mech game. You basically build your mechs, or in this case, they're called arsenals. There's a pretty not great story mode you play through with these characters that with weird names, Killer, Princess, Cinderella. I don't even remember most of the story stuff, but just the gameplay loop of building your mechs or your arsenals and doing these missions to grind out more and more loot drops, kind of like in a Monster Hunter style, I guess would be the easiest comparison, normie comparison for it. And you're just grinding these missions, grinding out these bosses, really cool multiplayer, co-op aspects to it, and I just had a lot of fun with it. There was definitely issues with it, and there's a lot of untapped potential with Daemon X Machina. I think the main criticism of it when it came out, aside from performance, because it was on Switch when it launched only, was that it just wasn't as good as Armored Core. You know, and that is probably the case. Like I said, I haven't played Armored Core, and I'm definitely excited to do so with this new one coming out. But as someone who had never played Armored Core and going into what was really my first mech game, I was really surprised. You know, I don't watch mech shows or, you know, Gundam. I can't even think of the name Gundam. I don't watch. I'm not into that stuff. But something about Daemon X Machina, ever since they first revealed it at E3 2018, really appealed to me. Some people are pretty critical of the game's art style. I think this game is freaking beautiful. I recently bought it on Steam, and I actually ended up refunding it because the servers weren't too active. Although there was players, surprisingly. But seeing this game run in 60 FPS, it's beautiful, man. It's a really striking, unique art style with these very high contrast colors. I really like that. And like I said, just the gameplay is really fun. It's that loop of building your mechs, and I think it just kind of got a bad hand dealt to it with the release timing between Astral Chain and Link's Awakening. Like I said, it also saw multiple delays, but you know, it had Nintendo behind it. It had some sort of marketing budget. It was in multiple Nintendo Directs, and for what it was, I think it actually did sell decently well. It later came to Steam, of course, as I alluded to. But it was a series I never thought would become a series. I never would have thought we would be here today, where a few weeks ago, or a week or so ago, Marvelous had their own showcase, and they announced a sequel, Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. Now, the announcement trailer isn't anything to be, you know, happy about, really. The fact that it exists is exciting, sure, but it's just a really not great CGI trailer zooming in on an arsenal, and there's literally no information. The only thing we can assume is that Nintendo is not publishing it because it was revealed in a very low-key Marvelous stream where they announced 30 Story of Seasons games, but probably not being published by Nintendo. In fact, we don't even have platforms confirmed for this thing. You know, it came to Steam like a year or so after it came out on Switch, I believe, so I would assume Steam would be there at launch, especially since Nintendo's not publishing it. Assume it, you know, we can only presume that, right? So at least PC and Switch, I would assume, and then hopefully other consoles as well. I talked about this on the podcast, though. The announcement timing, I feel like, isn't ideal. It really isn't. You know, Armored Core comes out in 2 months, and sure, we have no idea when this is coming out. It probably won't come out until 2024, maybe even 2025, because we just didn't see anything of it. But it feels weird to announce this before Armored Core comes out. Maybe they're trying to capitalize on that, but if anything, it should be the opposite. They should announce it after Armored Core 6 comes out. But Either way, I'm very excited about this. Like I said, I think Daemon X Machina, it was realistically like a 7.5 out of 10, but there's so much untapped potential there that I really hope with the sequel, you know, it's the same producer, same directors coming back for the sequel. I'm hoping they can, you know, realize that potential, because what was there was really cool. I think it just iron out some of the kinks, add more content, add more multiplayer focused stuff. I think they added PvP not long after the game came out. I never really did any of that. This could be a really cool game. In fact, I was wondering, you know, not to get into it, this is the topic of the channel for the past year. The fact they didn't announce platforms kind of interesting to me. I do wonder if this is a Switch 2 game. Like, honestly, I can't help but wonder that. You know, just the logo, title, and like a really weird CGI trailer doesn't make me think this is coming out anytime soon, you know? So maybe this could be a good old Switch 2 maybe launch title or something, and they're just not saying that, and that's why they didn't announce platforms, because I do think there is something to the idea of having something be exclusive and that adding a bit of an allure to it. This is on everything, which is ideal. Realistically, people will be less interested in it. That's just kind of how things go, but also bringing it to a bigger audience, putting it on PlayStation, putting it on Xbox couldn't hurt, I imagine, but yeah, I was really surprised to see this game announced, and I was equally surprised, but also just kind of saddened by the lack of people covering it. If you search Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion on YouTube, there's no big YouTubers talking about this game, and it's just weird to me because Daemon X Machina was a big Nintendo game in 2019. They didn't make it, they don't own it, but they did publish it. Daemon X Machina was a big Nintendo exclusive, and I haven't seen any Nintendo channels talking about it. Maybe that's because they didn't announce platforms, but at the very least, it'll come out on some sort of Nintendo platform. I think that's an easy bet to make, right? So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. Are you excited for Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion? Have you played Daemon X Machina? Or maybe you're going to consider picking it up now. I know it was free on the Epic Game Store back in, I think, last year, which I missed. I was kind of sad I missed that. But it's usually on sale. You can buy it cheap. I did mention I bought it on Steam and then refunded it. I kind of just wanted to mess around with it. It is cross-save. You can transfer your Switch save to PC. And while there were players, it just wasn't as active as I would have wanted. Not that the game was ever super populated, but I was like, you know, I bought it and I was like, I don't know if I actually want to get back into this. It's a lot. It is a lot, you know, to get back into a game like this after not playing it for 4 or 5 years, right? So I decided I would refund it. And it was nice to see it in 60 FPS, don't get me wrong, and the beautiful graphics, but refund it and wait for Armored Core 6 and then, of course, Titanic Scion. Hopefully next year would be the ideal rollout here, but yeah, they announced so much stuff there. I don't know. They announced a bunch of projects and room factories and story of seasons with no gameplay and no titles, so I don't know. I don't know what Marvelous is doing over there, but I'm very excited for this. So like I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe here for more Nintendo coverage and games heavily associated with Nintendo, as we don't know if this is actually a Nintendo title, but safe to assume. Subscribe for more of that kind of stuff down below. And until next time, folks, peace.